I didn't do a video for YouTube last week, and that was because I was out and about filming a wedding. Yay! In this video I will be talking about my findings, how you can film weddings as a solo filmmaker. Throughout the years I've been getting requests from couples filming their weddings, and I feel that filmmakers in general have a little bit of a hate relationship towards filming weddings, but you know, when I as an indie filmmaker, when I have my actors and I instruct them to feel this way and express these emotions, sad, happy, excited, and I've realized that when I'm at a wedding, I get all of those emotions for free right then and there. So for example, you have the bride's dad on stage and he's having this heartfelt speech to his daughter, and all the emotions are coming forth, and it becomes very emotional, and I'm not crying, you are crying. So my day started at this cute little town called Åhus. It's here in south of Sweden, and we were supposed to film the first look of the couple here in the streets of Åhus. And right off the bat I realized that this was going to be a very hot day, because I can feel my shirt is soaking up like a gallon of sweat, and my hair is start to really become a wet cloth on top of my head. And you know, you want to be fresh and looking good for the couple's sake. And here I am feeling like I'm walking in a pool. But anyway, I used my Sony a7S III as my main camera to get close-ups, and then I put my ZV-E1 on a tripod with my wide-angle lens, the 17 to 28mm, to cover the entire scene with this wide shot. After the first look, it was time for the couple to get some photos with the photographer, and I tagged along to capture some videos of the photography, and both with the couple themselves and also the couple and their kids. Then around 2 o'clock it was time for me to get going to the church so I could set up all my gear there, so I could make sure I have everything set up and ready to go when it's time for the ceremony inside of this church. The thing about filming weddings is that during the entire day, in most circumstances, you don't have the opportunity to do retakes. I'm sorry guys, my battery died. Can we do the vows again, please? So that is why it's important for you to always bring a plan B, a plan C, and preferably also a plan D. For example, what happens if your camera dies? What happens if all of a sudden the view in front of you gets blocked by reasons? So basically you really need to have a backup plan in worst case scenario, so you don't miss a crucial moment in their wedding. So at the church I continued using my Sony a7S III as my main camera, and I tried to move around very incognito and try not to be a disturbance for the guests. Then I took the ZV-E1 and put that on the other side so I could get a reverse angle of the couple. The problem in the church is that the couple is always facing the priest, so it's hard to get some kind of a reaction of the bride or the groom. So what I did was I took the little DJI Action 4 and put that next to this little altar, and I actually got some pretty useful shots of the couple doing their vows and saying yes to each other. Of course, it would be a lot better if I had a close-up and, you know, a zoomed-in view of this couple, but this just had to do in this circumstance. Whenever I film weddings, I always try to capture some music so I can use that in the editing process. So I got one of these small Zoom H1 handy recorders to capture some good music from the church, but I connected this one to a battery pack because my batteries didn't charge properly. So that's one thing that can go haywire. And then when I went to collect this recorder, I realized that the cable wasn't plugged in properly, so this died on me like 5 minutes into the ceremony. So that is why you should always have a backup plan. So instead what I did was I took the audio from my ZV-E1. I could get some usable music from the church, by the audio from the CVE1. The quality would have been much better with the handy recorder, but you know, shit happens. After the ceremony inside of the church, I got some very nice B-roll when the couple exits the church and everyone is congratulating and hugging and everyone's smiling and having a good time, excited for the rest of the day. And also here I was using my Sony a7S III as my main camera, handheld, but I also used my iPhone 15 Pro just so I could get a wide-angle shot very quickly instead of having to switch lenses on the Sony a7S III. I really wanted to get a drone shot of the church, but there wasn't time for that, so I had to pack my things quickly because the church was also closing. So I had to throw all my things into the car and go to the place where they had prepared the dinner and the party for the rest of the day. And here at this place, it was time for me to film some mingle among the guests and some play activities outside in this courtyard. I also had to make sure I was ready for when the couple arrived, because they were going to arrive in a bicycle together with smoke bombs and the guests waving around with their balloons, welcoming this newlywed couple. And when they were very close to arriving, my camera actually died, and I promise you, I swear to God, I had like 60% left on this battery, but this is a third-party battery, Enegon, whatever that is. So I had to run down to where I placed all my gear to find another battery quickly and then run back out to the courtyard, and I just barely managed to capture them coming up the driveway. Filming weddings can sometimes be very stressful, especially when gear starts to fall apart and this battery goes to the trash. I'm only going to use Sony's battery from now on. After the couple arrived, I had some downtime, so I took that opportunity to rig my cameras, so I was going to be ready for when the guests started to do all their speeches. And while these two were set up and ready to go on tripods, I took my iPhone on a phone gimbal, a simple phone gimbal, and went out and got me some more B-roll in the courtyard with the guests. The rest of the evening was basically just to capture this stage where the guests went up on to give their speeches. So the Sony a7S III was the camera I operated on the tripod, and my Sony CVE1 was directly facing the couple so I could get a reaction and also something to cut away to if I needed. I was instructed by the couple to just film the speeches very simply without any editing. Sometimes when you try to do something simple, something very basic, it's actually harder to do because all of your backup plans becomes, well, they disappear and the workflow that's quite ingrained in you gets disrupted. So even though the couple didn't ask for it, I used two cameras, one for the stage and one for the couple. Of course, the first thing that happens at this place where all the guests are seated is that they stand up to applaud the couple coming down the stairs, and I have no view of what's going on the stage with my Sony a7S III. So what do? Well, I had to pick up my iPhone 15 Pro and just go like this to try to capture some of that action that is happening on the stage. So once again, you have to roll with the punches, you have to be creative, you have to find solution at the very last minute, and it can be very stressful filming weddings, but for me at least it's still quite enjoyable experience so far. That is all I have for now. I will see you in the next one. Bye.